If it wasn't obvious already, Kanye has had one of the biggest fall-offs of all time. Let me get one thing clear first. Ye has always been one of my favorite artists in rap ever. I love the College Dropout as much as Ye loves himself, and I hate Vultures too as much as Ye hates Juice. I guess his self-titled album Now Ye was great and very overhated. Kanye's discography is near flawless. I say nearly because Dolla was pretty nice too, even though it was bloated and did have a handful of filler tracks. For the most part, there were many great songs on the album. 24, Come to Life, Believe What I Say, Off the Grid, just to name a few, are all amazing songs. Also, Life of the Party may be the best Kanye song since Runaway. So when he released Vultures, his collab album with Dolla, yeah, many people seem to forget it's also Ty's album, even though he carries Ye on every song here. When he released Vultures, I was so disappointed. Vultures was so bad that it made Jesus is King look like Graduation. It was easily his messiest album at the time. Tedious hooks, disgusting lyrics, and awful mixing. It just sounded unfinished, even more unfinished than Dolla 2. Why do Kanye's unreleased songs sound more complete than anything on Vultures? The only song I somewhat enjoyed was Burn, but it was only because of Dolla's addictive chorus. Ye's verse was so stupid. And then when Vultures 2 came, it was even worse than Vultures 1. It might even be the most unnecessary sequel since Godfather Part 3. Vultures was so awful that it didn't even need a sequel. I don't know why there were still delusional fans that were excited for the second installment, and I'm saying this as someone who enjoys a large amount of his other albums. While Dolla is still fine for the most part, he's still a great hook maker. The chorus that he delivered on the Denzel Curry song from last year was amazing. Ye just keeps disappointing. Since Dolla, which isn't even near his best album, his beats have drastically decreased in quality, so have his lyrics, so have his flows, and especially his creativity. That I Love Kanye skit from 2016's The Life of Pablo has aged better than this whole Vultures 2 album. The first 4 words are more relatable than anything off of Vultures 2. How do you go from mayonnaise colored Benz I push miracle whips to reach for the popcorn, oops that's my cock, who? This sounds like a moist critical quote. Why is Ye saying it? This line is from the second track, Time Moving Slow, in which 10 whole producers were involved. How the f? The drum pattern is terrible. The mixing on the piano sounds terrible. Dolla can't even save the song because his repetitive chorus is boring and forgettable. The following Field Trip would honestly be a great song if the mixing weren't so bad. It kicks off with a really catchy hook from Don Toliver rapping in these high-pitched vocals that brings a lot of hype energy. Carti's deep voice is a nice contrast to it, but it's clear that he puts no effort into his verse. I of course wasn't expecting to hear mind-blowing bars or double entendres or anything like that from Playboy Carti, but what is this? The pauses in between some of his lines feel so overly long due to his tiresome flow. Dolla's flow in comparison is much nicer, but it's cut short with Ye coming in, delivering a thankfully even shorter verse that bridges the gap between Ty's verse and the following Kodak verse. Kodak questioned Future for rapping about dick, even though he raps about his dick in nearly every line here. Yeah, that's the thing about the Vulture series. The lyrics are so overly horny. Now, I don't really have a problem with sexual lyrics in rap music. I usually don't care as long as everything else about the song is great, or if the sexual lyrics add to the entertaining energy or the concept of an already great song. An example of a great song where the sexual lyrics add to the entertainment is On Sight, where the out-of-pocket lines fit perfectly on the out-of-pocket, unhinged, distorted McDonald's Sprites type beat. In addition to this, the vocal sample in the middle of the whole song is beautiful. It overall makes up for a super fun, memorable listening experience. Violent Crimes is an example of another great song that uses lyrics addressing a more serious topic, the sexualization of women, with Ye expressing his anxiousness about having to protect his daughter from the danger of other men, as well as his never-ending love for her. It's very powerful, but in Vultures 2, there is no powerful or at the very least interesting message or meaning, no catchy flows, no good beats, terrible mixing. There is hype energy, but every other aspect of the song is so distractingly awful that it makes it impossible to get hyped to it. So the sexual lyrics here just don't have the same effect as the examples I mentioned earlier. The way Ye delivers his bars doesn't help either. In On Sight, he sounds so insanely energetic that it's infectious and so fun, and on Violent Crimes, he's pouring his heart, his emotions and passion so much through his lines that his emotions can be felt by his voice alone, especially during the moments where his voice starts breaking. But on Vultures 2, however, that type of passionate performance that was present on those two songs is just not present here. Ye puts more energy and passion into his rant about how Twix bars keep making us fat than anything to do with this album.
Twix.
Also, the ridiculousness of the horny lyrics on Sight is clearly used to throw people off the same way the beat does, but on Vultures 2, the ridiculousness of the horny lyrics is the last thing I want to hear when even Ye sounds like he's not putting any effort into the song. Even Northwest sounds like she's having more fun on this album than Ye himself. All other aspects of the songs don't provide anything special either. When 90% of the lyrical content is just horny, these lines just feel more stupid and annoyingly repetitive than anything related to being funny or entertaining. This heavily applies to Fried, which comes after Field Trip. The beat on Fried has these backing vocals by the Interpolan Ultras, the same group who did the backing vocals on the Carnival beat. There's hardly any difference, it's just copy and paste, and Ye and Tai add nothing positive over this already familiar beat, as both of them just use the exact same flows throughout the whole song. It's to the point where Runaway feels quicker to listen to than this 2.5 minute track. The choice of using one flow brought me back to Follow God, where Ye was also using one flow throughout the whole track, but at least the beat is good. I don't even like Follow God, but listening to it straight after hearing Fried actually rinsed off the terrible taste in my mouth. There's then Promotion that generally has quite infectious melodies from Future and Tai, however the bad mixing prevents the song from being a highlight. Ye also references the graduation song Good Life in the outro, a reminder of how much I miss the old Kanye. Future is also on Dead, but his chorus this time is dead. The 808s are also compressed to death. They're so loud, they should be considered as a feature. The mixing in Forever Rolling might be the most frustratingly lazy moments on the entire album. The original version of the song that got leaked had a different beat than the officially released version, but in this officially released version, you can still hear the old original beat in the background of Lil Baby's verse. There's two beats playing at once. Also, platinum cars turn milk chocolate to peanut butter. What a shit line. There's then Bomb with Miles and Northwest, which is unironically the most enjoyable moment on Vultures 2. It's such a breath of fresh air getting hit with a song that is intentionally stupid and completely aware of how ridiculous and bad it is. Unlike the rest of the album, we're already more than halfway through the record, and this is the first instance moments where I actually smiled. I'm probably never ever going to listen to this song again, but the two just seem like they're having fun and enjoying themselves. It's so harmless. I understand why everyone thinks this song is terrible, and I wouldn't argue with that, but the song's purpose is more about being playful and silly rather than generating genuine, profound artistic value, which is at the very least more admirable than everything else on the album. On the other hand, Husband is anything but enjoyable. The song structure consists of just one long verse from Ye, so you already know it's going to be shit, since this is Vultures 2 era Kanye we're talking about here. It has him singing directly towards someone, presumably his cousin, presumably Kim. The song tries to be emotional and touching, but instead it just comes off as weird and embarrassing, with Ye saying, "All you really need is a husband, show you loving, let him touch you, let him rub you." The song isn't even about me, and even I feel uncomfortable. Instead of being touched by the song, I feel like I am being touched by the song. It is a prime example of how far his songwriting skills have fallen off. He was still engaged to Bianca at this time, and he's singing to his ex-wife, trying to persuade her to be his wife again. The consistency of lazy mixing continues on Lifestyle, where the already dreadful vocal sample in the background is so loud. Ye's verse on Sky City is AI. Do I need to explain any further on why the song is bad? The torture ends with My Soul. It has a drum beat that sticks out like a sore thumb, since it doesn't complement anything else happening in the song. When you listen to it with headphones, the verses in the first half of the track only play in the left ear, like this. They fixed it now, but why even release it like that in the first place? Once everything's actually finished, release it. But why even release the entire album in the first place? Even if the mixing on this album was actually good, it would still be a bad album. It's painfully clear that no effort has been put into Vultures 2. It actually hurts my brain how someone who once made Jesus Walks made a full-length project this sloppy and lazy. It's like the musical equivalent to this photo. Kanye West has gone through a bigger downgrade than the Burger King logo. From now on, when I'm talking about Ye's discography, I will only talk about his solo work. Sorry kids see ghosts, this is because I want to pretend Dolla was really his last album. Vultures 2 is the first ever posthumous album made by a living artist. 1.9.